I think so. Jon Rothstein earlier this week, he released his Big Ten offseason breakdown. And of course, at the top of this Big Ten offseason breakdown, he has his Big Ten preseason power rankings. And I will say, I was pretty shocked by some of these. I kind of thought going into it, like, oh, yeah, he'll have Purdue and Indiana, UCLA up there, maybe Michigan State, Illinois. Long and behold, there's three teams above Michigan State and Illinois, and some teams below them that I thought maybe you would have maybe above them, but the teams above them, I can honestly say I did not see coming. So, Kent, what are your thoughts here, man? Oh, let's start positive, okay? Are there any teams that are too low? Let's talk about the teams that are too low you think might be able to be higher.
Sure. I do have to start with a slight negative, though, if I could. I actually posted this quote tweet and basically did what you just did and listed the rankings in order of what John did in his article. It was more or less like a tweet to say, hey, I'm saving you guys a click here. This is what John said. Everybody got mad at me about the rankings. I didn't do this. This is John's rankings. And I get it, though. I do get it because the day before I released my football predictions and people were already upset about that. So I think that they were just ready to pounce on me again. But that's fine. That's fine. I'll take it. On the positive note, you said you want me to tell you what team I think should be higher than to start?
Yeah, one team, two teams, however many you think.
Okay.
Since Russ isn't here, the time is all yours until Russ gets here.
That's perfect because I do have two teams that I think are far too low. And I think that, going through the Twitter replies that even I got or people talking about John's rankings in general, I think it was kind of a consensus between these two fan bases. It's got to be a fight between Rutgers at number 10 and Illinois at number 8. I think
Illinois fans got upset about rankings.
You wouldn't believe
Never.
You wouldn't believe it. Oh man. I love Illinois.
I love Illinois fans.
I love them. And I put out I know this is the basketball show, but I did my football prediction and I said that they were going to be like 2-10 and they were irate. I didn't know their football fans were that mad too, but I love them, especially for basketball this year. So I will say for me personally, Illinois at number 8 is the most egregious, I think, because you start looking at the top, and I don't have a problem with the top 3 at all. I would probably go Purdue or Indiana at number 1 and 2. You can flip-flop them if you want to, and then UCLA at 3 is how I have it right now. But I look at the rest of the conference, though. I have Illinois at 4th. And I don't know if anyone would put them lower than 5th right now. I mean, this is going to be a stacked roster. It's still Brad Underwood. They're going to be really, really good next year. I have a very strong sense that in the next few weeks, I'm going to put a future on them to win the conference, just because I think that they're that good. I think they could actually win the whole thing next year. But I do have to mention Rutgers, like I said, though, at number 10. Anytime you have two guys, not one, two. You have two guys that are going to be drafted in the top 5 next year. Okay. They cannot be a double-digit, prediction for any Big Ten rankings. They just can't. Even at 9, I'd be like, okay, you don't like them, but that's a little low. But like,
at least it's single
I would say somewhere between 6 to 8.
Yeah, 10 does feel too low for Rutgers. I agree. Just that talent in general. I mean, I have been questioning Steve Pikiell's ability to coach offense. Obviously, that is a concern that I have. I think I've made that clear on this show before. So, but I still think like two players like that, they have to be able to create their own offense a little bit. And granted, they are freshmen, but still, like you said, these are going to be two top 5, possibly top 5, probably top 10 at the very least picks in the NBA draft next year. Dylan, he's with us here, Kent. He's very upset.
Oh, dude, I just noticed I'm logged into your account still from when I hosted. Did you notice that just now? Sorry about that.
Oh my gosh, you are.
That was supposed to be me from my account. Sorry about that.
You're fine. That's all good. This is Kent impostering as me right now.
I'm impostering, yeah.
I love it. DK says he always makes us look bad. I heard that Russ was the only one that was willing to be on your podcast though last night, Dylan. So you have to at least thank Russ that he was willing to podcast. So here we go. Russ is watching. Dylan is all up in the comments, but
This is facts. Dylan needs to get on the game right now and finish the game. We're all waiting on him to advance to week 2, by the way. I finished my game the first day. And and that was on Saturday. I think it was Saturday I finished it, or Friday, maybe even.
Yeah.
So I've been waiting since last Friday to advance to my second game in this dynasty. So, although I did make them wait at the beginning, I will say I was kind of late at the beginning.
He says he also beat you in college football 25.
Yeah, he was using Oregon and Russ had Purdue. So I think if I was watching correctly last night.
Yeah, I think Oregon to beat Purdue in a lot of cases. Yeah, so my teams that are too low, I still, I feel like Wisconsin could be a spot or two higher. I think Wisconsin's going to do better than Iowa this year. They still have Max Klesmit. John Blackwell is coming back. So Stephen Crowell is there still. I mean, you have your freshman sensation last year coming back. You have Max Klesmit. If Max Klesmit can find his game for the entire season that he had last year when things were going well, I think Wisconsin is definitely more middle of the pack than 12th, in my opinion. But that's going to be a little interesting there. And then I was surprised you didn't mention him, Kent. Chris Collins in the Northwestern Wildcats at number 13. I mean, that, what Chris Collins has been able to do. I know no Boo Buie this year, but still, I mean, we have to give Chris Collins a lot of credit for what he's been able to do the past few years. So I don't know. Are you with me on either of those, or do you think I am being a little insane?
I'm not with you on Wisconsin, unfortunately. I'm kind of off them this year. But I will agree that, the thing about the Northwestern stuff for me, this cross is just so heavy to bear every single week for me to carry Northwestern's fan base on my back. And, sometimes I just have to drop it. And I think I just dropped it this time. And I was like, I can't do it. I can't fight this fight against Jon Rothstein for my Northwestern Wildcats this week. And maybe next week I'll be back on it. But yeah, they're too low. I think Wisconsin, you're right, maybe up a spot or two, but I wasn't like upset when I saw Wisconsin down there.
Well, now I just don't know what to think because I'm looking here at Jon Rothstein's prediction, and the projected 5 starters include Stephen Crowell, but then in the key losses he also has Stephen Crowell. So I thought Stephen Crowell was coming back, but
there was a few mistakes on the key, and if you read the whole article like I did, because I'm a nerd, he put everybody that left as a key loss. It wasn't like, okay. And he also, if you're still on Wisconsin right now, I believe somebody said that he forgot to put AJ Storr as a key loss. I don't think he's on there.
He's updated now, so maybe he updated it. But yeah, he did not update Stephen Crowell. So I don't know what's going on there with that. But you would think an editor would figure that out. But yeah, very interesting there. Okay. Yes, Philip, we talked about Illinois. Illinois, way too low. I agree. I think Illinois is at least top 5, top 6, maybe even if you're low on them. I think that they brought in some really good pieces, and Brad Underwood has a history of fitting those pieces together. Like I said to Ryan when we had him on, my concern is not talent with Illinois, it's culture. When Brad Underwood brings in an entirely new team, you can have culture issues, and he had that one time, but the talent is there. I mean, this is going to be a talented team. So top 5, top 6, even if you're low on them. Far from me to tell Jon Rothstein what to do, but I don't understand 8th. I don't know what he's seeing there. All right, Kent. So who is too high? Let's make some fan bases mad when they watch this. Who are some teams that are too high?
Well, I'll start with your fan base just because of what I said.
How did I know you'd start at the 4th spot?
Well, no, I say that. I only say that because I think that Illinois should be there. It's not like I think that Ohio State should be way lower. It's just because by default, like Ohio State shouldn't be in the top 4 just because of the teams that I think are the top 4 right now. So I would bump them down just a little bit. I'll make a fan base that I love really mad right now. I'm dropping Nebraska even lower. I think they're at 14 right now. I might drop them down to 16, 17.
You think
maybe
below Penn State?
I don't know. That's the problem is like, okay, here's what I'll do. I'm going to bring Minnesota up to 15, and then it'll be Penn State and Washington at 16, 17. or however that works. I'll bring Minnesota to 14. I'm going to basically swap
Okay.
that out.
So just swap Minnesota and
Yeah,
Nebraska
if
in your
you're looking
mind.
at the graphic right now on YouTube, I'm going to take Minnesota, put them in Nebraska spot, and then also flip-flop Nebraska and USC. So that way it goes, the bottom three are going to be Nebraska, then Penn State and Washington.
I mean, I
But
do think that
I'm just so off Nebraska. Like I even like seeing them up that high, I was like, ooh, I don't know. And
Yeah.
then I guess the third team I would mention would be like you already said, Iowa. I might drop them down a couple spots too. I'm not really high on them.
yeah,
I
Iowa's
think
too
I think
too
on
high, I think.
Twitter, a lot of people were the claim was, and I don't know where I'm at with this team yet, so I can't make an assertion, but a lot of people think Maryland was too high. What do you think about Maryland?
I mean,
At
Kevin
6.
Willard is awful, so
Yeah, well, so do we all. I think we
I
all
can't
do.
put Maryland above Illinois. As long as Kevin Willard is the coach at Maryland, I cannot put Maryland at Illinois. I mean, now if he does something this year that's like spectacular, okay, maybe next year I'll think about it. But yeah, Kevin Willard is bad.
Yeah.
He's gone on a nice little recruiting, tear here lately and done a good job that way. But I don't believe in him as an in-game coach, and I think he could royally screw up with Derek Queen this year, and we could find Derek Queen in the transfer portal.
Yeah, that's
I mean,
possible. I think overall, though, with John's, if I could just defend him a little bit, and I don't know John, obviously.
you
There's
guys
no
aren't best
reason.
friends? He doesn't come
Well,
over
maybe
for
I do,
Thanksgiving?
and maybe I'm just saying that right now.
Yeah.
That I don't know him. Maybe we actually are really good friends. If I could defend him just a little bit, though, anytime that people put out rankings, it gets picked apart by people like us because it's fun to talk about, but also by every commenter on the internet wants to claim something about their team that may or may not be true. With John's predictions and his power rankings, if you will, that he put out, I didn't hear a lot of gripes about his top 3. And that's
No,
like
his top
me,
3 is solid.
yeah. And to me, that's like a very important part of it. And that's why I think the only thing that I would really like have to get out of bed and argue for is Illinois, because I think that's the only one that's a big miss, because I think they are in that top conversation. But everything else, you start looking at the bottom, it's like, is Nebraska really going to be mad that they're at 14? Like, are they going to be like, we should be at 12? This is ridiculous. It's like when you're talking about the bottom part of somebody's power rankings and you don't have anything bad to say about the top, I think that person did an okay job. So I'm not super mad about it overall.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the Big Ten for you, right? Normally the Big Ten has 1 or 2 teams at the top that have separated themselves. Last few years, it's been Purdue, Illinois last year as well, Northwestern. Northwestern 2 years ago, they were 1 win away from like being 9th instead of 2nd, so never mind. But yeah, I mean, normally the Big Ten has 1 or 2 teams at the top that have separated themselves, and then the middle is just kind of like a mosh pit where anybody could go anywhere depending on the win or the loss, and then the last 2-3 teams are pretty well out of it. So, I mean, that's just kind of how the Big Ten operates. I could see it being one of those years where, the top 3 has kind of cemented themselves. If this was like a prediction at the end of the year, I could see Ohio State being 4th, just because Ohio State might go on a weird kind of run where they get the right wins and, through some tiebreakers, they get up there to 4th. But at the end of the day, like, do I enter the season saying Ohio State is the 4th best team in the Big Ten? No. They have really good size. I think they have really good potential players, but a lot of these players on their team have not proven themselves to be a part of a top 4 starting lineup roster in the Big Ten, in my mind. They're going to have to prove it this year. And maybe Jon Rothstein's going out on a limb and saying they are going to prove it. But for me, they haven't proved it yet. And so if I'm ranking Ohio State, I'm putting Ohio State right next to Michigan. Those 2 teams for me are the same right now, and just see which one goes. So probably 9th and 8th is where I would put. I think Michigan's rated okay, but I just don't see how Ohio State isn't down there with them.
Yeah. Should we redo this? Should we do it ourselves real quick? You want to do it ourselves?
We could. Sean says UCLA and Oregon getting too much love at the top from Johnny Boy. I don't think UCLA. I think that Mick Cronin has a good team in here this year. What you think? UCLA at 3 is okay too, right, Kent?
Oh, I love UCLA. Yeah, I'm real happy with them at 3. Yes,
but Oregon. Oregon That's a weird pick at 5. Yeah,
Oregon,
Sean, they also Mick Cronin also brought in like Kobe Johnson and a few other good players. So, I think this is going to be a portal changing team, but they also bring some players back.
yeah, I have some thoughts about UCLA that we're going to talk about in a segment coming up. So stay tuned. I will talk more about UCLA here in a few minutes. But Oregon and Maryland are two teams that like I haven't really done as much research as I have on the other teams. I know that Oregon has a lottery pick type player on their team. I can't recall his name at the moment. And then Maryland, I just need to figure out who's all going to be playing for them this year and make a better assertion on them. But I think a lot of people are higher on Oregon than, the traditional fan bases from the Big Ten would realize that they're going to be a little bit better than just some team from the West Coast that's coming in. They're going to be pretty good.
I will say they do have a Jon Rothstein, their starting center. His name is Supreme Cook, so that's a pretty awesome name. So
he's going to cook alone, for sure.
Yeah, by name alone, he's going to cook. So
for top sure. 5. I got to find that guy's name that I was talking about.
Top 5 actually seems perfect now. Okay, all right. If we're going to do this, then Kit, let's do this. So Purdue and Indiana, we agree those are 1 and 2, right?
Yeah, I would switch Indiana to the top though, just to make Purdue fans mad. But we can keep it like that. That's fine. I would. You know what? No, switch Indiana to number 1 because Russ isn't here. That's why. That's the reason why right now.
Okay, yeah. When Russ gets here, Purdue can be number 1. But for now, Indiana's number 1 till he gets here. UCLA at 3. I think we can keep that. What'd you say? Illinois at 4 for you?
Illinois at 4.
I can agree with that. Michigan State at 5.
Oh man, Rutgers
at 5. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I got to write this down. I'm going to forget here in a minute. So
if only we were recording this so you could go back and watch it later.
I know.
Or you're going to forget what teams we picked.
I'm going to forget what teams we put in certain places.
Gotcha.
I was just thinking, is there a way I can do this someplace else? No, there's not. All right. Illinois. What do we say? Rutgers.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Who would you have 6th then? Michigan State? Oregon?
Yeah, let's go Oregon and then Michigan State. 6, 7. So that way Michigan State stays right where they're at.
Interesting comment here from Sonny. I had a UCLA guy on my show last night, and he said anything less than a Final Four would be a disappointment. I think that is a really big... I think that's a really ambitious goal.
I think if I was a UCLA fan, I would feel the same way. I think their team is very good this year. People that say that,
I don't know, but you had such an awful year last year. Like,
it's good. It's a completely different team, though.
Yeah,
completely different.
All right. Okay, we gotta get through these rankings. Okay.
So yeah,
Rutgers,
let's do it real quick.
Who'd you say after Rutgers?
I said Oregon and then Michigan State.
Okay.
And that puts Ohio State in the 8th spot, like you said.
And then Michigan. They're almost like tied for 8th in my mind.
Right. And then we're at 10 now.
Yeah.
I really want to put Northwestern at 10.
That's fine. I was going to actually suggest them or Wisconsin.
All right, so Northwestern, then Wisconsin at 11.
Wisconsin, and then Maryland. Like Maryland at 12.
Okay,
right?
Yeah, that's perfect. And then, like I said, I would put USC in front of Minnesota, and then what do we say? Nebraska.
Let's go from the bottom now. So Nebraska's 18th.
No. Washington's 18, and then Penn State's 17.
Oh, okay.
And then Nebraska's 16. Yeah, this is great. We got this.
Okay, so Washington 18. Penn State 17?
Yep.
Then Nebraska 16.
Nebraska 16.
Okay, so for 13, 14, 15, we have some combination of USC, Minnesota, and Iowa.
Let's go. I think USC at the top of whatever you just said it was, 13.
Yeah, I think Musselman is a good enough coach to do that.
And then I would say Iowa and then Minnesota. That seems fun. That seems good. I like that.
Somebody's going to take this now and put it on their show and
That felt
tear
really
us
good.
apart. All right, so just to recap, Indiana number 1 until Russ gets here. Then Purdue can be number 1. Purdue number 2, number 3, UCLA, number 4, Illinois, number 5, Rutgers, number 6, Oregon, number 7, Michigan State, number 8, Ohio State. Tied for number 8 is Michigan. Number 10, Northwestern, number 11, Wisconsin, number 12, Maryland, number 13, USC, number 14, Iowa, number 15, Minnesota, number 16, Nebraska, number 17, Penn State, number 18, Washington.
That felt great. That sounded like that's what's going to happen next year. I feel
we
like
should mail this to Jon Rothstein and tell him to change his rankings.
I'll DM it to him. I'll be like, "Hey, we fixed your rankings on the show tonight."
Yeah, just DM the whole episode. Oh, there we go. Okay. Oh, device not connected. All right. Once. Hey, look at that. Sean says solid. Thank you, Sean.
Yeah,
I appreciate that.
Appreciate that, Sean.
Russ is here, but his device is not connected. All right. While we wait for Russ, I'll read off John's preseason all Big Ten team. All Big Ten team: Braden Smith, Purdue; Bruce Thornton, Ohio State; Peyton Sanford, Iowa; Brooks Barnheiser, our man Brooks, Northwestern;
Brooksy.
and Umar Ballo, Indiana. There's Russ. What's up, Russ?
What's up, fellas?
All right. I'll go ahead and pencil Purdue in for number 1 now that Russ is here.
Russ, we just got done fixing Jon Rothstein's preseason power rankings, and we started right at the top with the fixing.
You still have UCLA winning the Big Ten?
No, we
No,
put
we went
Indiana
3.
in front of Purdue because you weren't here. Wait, you had to have been watching, right?
But now that you're
yeah.
here,
yeah.
we put Purdue number 1. So.
Oh, yeah.
Russ, this would be my one question for you, and then we'll move on. Big Ten preseason player of the year, Braden Smith. That's what Jon Rothstein has. What do you think about that?
I mean, he is the only returning player from last year's first team. That's all 6 players that were either media or coaches' first team. So I can't disagree with him just on that basis alone. I won't get into too big of a homer pick there. But, yeah, I agree.
What do you say to the people that are claiming he's not going to be as good without Edey, though, because he's not going to have someone to just dump it down to in the post?
Watch. Just watch. That's what I say. So I say watch.
Watch out.
Because he had Edey 2 years ago, and he wasn't first team all Big Ten. So obviously the voters saw something. So whatever they saw, tune in and watch.
His passing was so on point last year. It wasn't just Edey. It was such spectacular passing.
I think I should get a vote for all Big Ten this year. Don't you guys think?
All Big Ten media. Yeah, casual Big Ten. We'll make an all Big Ten media list here soon. So, Philip says Jack McCaffrey, youngest son of Fran, committed to Butler. I think we knew he wasn't going there, though. Somebody said that at one point. We knew that he didn't really want to follow Fran. But that's rough. Patrick and Jack both leaving.
He's playing for Ohio State's old coach, right?
Yeah, Thad Matta.
Yeah, Thad.
Love Thad. All right, let's get to the next thing. Otherwise, we're not going to ever get out of here. So,